After the first date, what are the next steps?
Anal.
No.
Yeah. Welcome back to another episode of Menage-A-Pod, the hysterical comedy podcast about sex, dating, relationships, and anything else we feel like talking about. I'm your co-host, TJ. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, friend, and podcast life partner. What's up, Jenna?
Hi, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
I mean, I'm good. Do I feel very zen to you right now?
You do. Your feng shui is money.
It is, right?
Yeah.
I know. Can I tell you why?
Is it because you went to that fancy-ass resort?
Yes, it was so good. Like, I can't say one bad thing about it. If there are any people who have recently come into money, because I certainly couldn't afford it on my own, but if anyone has come into some money lately.
Couldn't you, though?
Well, for like 3 days, but like we were there for a week. So this place called Miraval, it's like a resort and wellness spa. The original one is in Arizona, but the one that we went to is in Austin, Texas, which was like super cool. We were there for a week for work, and we were doing like workouts 3 times a day. There was like horse riding. I mean, it was like the most fun I've ever had. Also, we did this, I'm pretty sure it tied back to like a lesson with work, but I secretly don't remember that part. But there was a guy who came and like he was someone who trained Navy SEALs how to fight. Okay. Like basically with like knives. And we had like pretty much with
like
knives, like an actual knife.
Oh my God.
His knife also had like a taser on the end of it. It was really fucked up. It was super aggressive. Anyway, all the people that I worked with had fake knives, clearly, because we're not playing with real knives. And we learned how to like knife fight. So I feel like now I'm going to put it on my dating profile.
Knife skills. Certified knife skills.
So knife skills.
You're going to go down the south side and like just challenge people to like.
Why does that have to be the south side? I just feel like it's something I can do now. Now you don't fuck with me because now I know how to wield a knife.
Daniel will take you back to his neighborhood and you guys can knife fight in the streets.
I mean, it was pretty awesome. Also, guess what else I learned how to do?
What's that?
I learned how to read tarot cards.
That seems wholly unnecessary.
Scary, right? But it was awesome because it was like an hour and 10-minute class. And then there were like a bunch of strangers in it and then 3 girls that I work with, 2 other girls that I work with. And what we did was we learned how to read them, and then we were turned on each other to read each other's cards. And what she read for me was pretty fucking awesome. So my friend Emily, who I work with, she read my cards, and what she came up with I think is really interesting. So I want to tell you, based on like the last couple of episodes we recorded, the one after I told you like this, like the medium like told me what my life was like. So basically she pulled 3 cards. One was the past, one was the present, and one was the future. I kept drawing the same card over and over and over throughout like different readings. So I thought it was interesting. It kept showing up. If you guys remember, do you remember the episode we talked about the medium and how she gave me this reading about how like my life was sort of in like this holding pattern, and that what ended up coming out of this, like from a coworker, by the way. So that's kind of awkward. Although she's a close friend of mine, so she knows the story. But basically,
it always stings when you call a friend a coworker.
Well, I met her through work.
Like
so what does that mean? No, I love her, but she's not here. So it's kind of weird to be like my friend. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, what was really interesting was the cards. She pulled the past, the present, the future. So the past one basically said you're in a holding pattern and, you know, went through all this shit and now you're just like in this holding pattern. The present is you've kind of gotten through all these things that you needed to get through in order to then like be in a healthy relationship. And then the present, the card that she pulled basically said like, it's a new seed. It's a new beginning for like new relationships in 2020.
So you did this
which
all
is
on
bananas,
this work trip.
all on this fucking work trip. And it goes back to what that medium said that like I had talked about on the show that everyone's been reaching out to ask about, who said the exact same thing. She doesn't listen to this podcast, so she wouldn't have known. And the fact that she pulled those 3 cards, I think is pretty fucking bananas.
That is definitely bananas.
Yeah. I mean, thanks,
he knows what's
Gwen.
up.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool. Anyway, like awesome work trip. Totally like would never have done it on my own, but I'm excited that we did.
I'm excited for you.
Knife skills,
tarot card skills.
I mean, I am a fucking catch right now.
All the guys out there
I don't get
in the
it.
dating
Why
apps,
am I single?
I know they're coming for Jenna hard.
I mean, I'm telling you.
Before we go any further into any more hysterical topics, I think this would be a great time to reintroduce Menage-A-Pod All Star and guest of honor, our boy GQ50.
I mean, we love
Josh.
Thank you.
Honestly,
Welcome.
one of my favorite people.
Thank you.
Guys, if you remember back, I believe episode 13 called Peacock Don't Cock Block, we were joined by my boy Josh. He is friend of mine, also a podcaster from the Travel Guides.
Can he be a friend of mine now?
He is.
Like,
friend of the show.
I feel
friend of the show.
Host,
Thank you. Yeah.
Bachelor at large. Oh, no.
No.
You know, I handed in my card.
Okay.
A little bit, you know. So it's all good. It's all good. Testing the waters. We'll probably talk about that today.
Okay.
I like that teaser.
A teaser, right?
Hey, good work. This guy knows what's up. He's in the industry. All right. Well,
I like though that like I'm not nearly as drunk as the first time he was on the show, but
there's time.
But that's what I'm saying. I haven't actually drank on the show like to excess in quite some time, so I feel like I'm on my way there. I have no idea, which means it's gonna go off the rails. It's fine. I'm fine.
How was the Mr. Black cold brew?
Oh, it's so good.
I feel like I'm speaking from a point of real expertise, but the Mr. Black cold brew was incredible. Added to a little McDonald's iced coffee. It really can't be beat. So, Mr. Black Coffee, if you're out there and you're watching, you want to sponsor us, get at us at Menage Podcast.
What was the ABV on that?
It was like, I think 30 proof or 30.
Wowzers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
So
30%, so 60 proof.
Right.
Yeah.
That's legit.
Yeah, it's enough.
Yeah,
And then I usually mix it with bourbon.
You mix it with bourbon?
Yeah, because Jenna's what we call an alcoholic.
You know, you could just drink more bourbon, right?
What? Yes, but like if you're going to make a mixed drink, that's the one to do.
I usually do E&J VSOP with the Mr. Black stuff.
Irk and jerk.
The irk and the jerk. This guy knows.
Wow.
Absolutely.
I have not heard that in a minute.
Absolutely
Oh my God. The finest of brandies. God.
E&J Parmesan.
Christian Brothers. Oh, that's terrible. You get beat up by that stuff.
Oh yeah, it's all bad. It's all bad. But thank you all for having me on. I appreciate it.
It's our pleasure.
It feels like
It's
the
good to
first
see
time.
you.
No, it's good. It's good. We're good to see you as well.
Feels like the first time?
It does.
Does it really?
It does. A little
Yeah.
bit.
I feel like
Feels very
we're way
familiar.
past that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, besides you've been on here, I've been on yours.
Absolutely.
So I feel
That was a
like
great
now
episode.
we're just family.
You've been on
We're
his?
just family.
What do you mean? Oh, you've been on his podcast.
Sadly, I just
got
mean his
you.
podcast.
The
Yeah.
Travel Guys, the
Womp
Kidding,
womp.
kidding.
Sorry, new girlfriend. But
Question for you.
Answer for you.
Where did your personal IG handle come from?
Okay, so the motorcycle that I ride is the Cafe Racer, the style of bike.
Okay.
And when I switched to that handle, I mean, I'm still pretty active, but that was definitely like my big focus for a while there. And I was like, I'm going to have this like very motorcycle forward account. And then I'm like, wait, but I really like dogs and food and shoes too. So
Right. And now photography.
yeah, right. I know. And I
You're just a man
that's
of
why
many talents.
I'm kind of a Renaissance man. That's why me and Josh are friends here.
That's what it's got to be.
is that what that friendship was built on?
Absolutely.
Renaissance?
This is my sous chef.
Yeah.
Well, I will agree. I saw. Well, you didn't really help in there, if I'm being
I
honest.
didn't. I'm kind of worthless.
I think
I'm
he
sorry,
did the
man.
entire. He made the entire breakfast.
Yeah,
in there.
that's something we bearing the lead a little bit today.
Yeah.
Josh made a fantastic breakfast / brunch for us.
Yeah.
Put together
Honestly.
some delicious omelets.
Quite possibly the most cooking that's happened in that kitchen. Did
appreciate
you
it.
have
It
to
was-
blow off dust on things?
It was.
Be honest. It's fine. I'm fine. Everyone, we all know.
You got to knock the dust off it every now and then.
Usually, the only thing in this apartment that needs the dust knocked
Is the
off of it
kitchen
is
stuff.
Jenna's.
We all know that's not true.
know.
We know it's the kitchen stuff.
You know.
No.
So
Do they?
I walked in today, and I looked at that. It really does look like.
Yeah,
Tina
he-
Turner, I tell you.
Fuck
it
you
really
both.
does. It really
But
does.
here's the thing. I said, if you didn't already have the preconceived notion that this is supposed to, per TJ, look like a lady bit. Does it
We
look?
are grown ups.
Lady
I
bit.
just got chastised for sharing a social media post
I've
with
been
the words
talking.
pussy and cock in
Listen,
it.
yeah, you did. I chastised you in that. Here's the thing. I have been chatting with a guy who's British, and I feel like that's how they talk. So I feel like it's now a thing. Now I could possibly be a British person.
Really?
I don't know. I feel
What
like
does
they
he-
say bits. They
Oh,
say bits.
But you've always said they bits and bobs.
Yeah, it's fine. Anyway, if that doesn't really look like a lady
a
part,
little bit.
But is it because he says it?
It looks like a geode.
Listen,
Okay, but
thank you.
But
if you did not know TJ and you just walked in, you were like,
if you
"Oh,
didn't
that's
know what
a
a
beautiful
geode
painting."
did, you could definitely see. There looks like there's very clear labia.
Yeah.
What the
There is
serious
there is Majora and Menorah.
I can't have this conversation again.
And granted,
That's like not a
I mean,
thing.
that lady bits or whatever the fuck we're calling it. It's seen some shit. It went to like Afghanistan or something, and it's been beat up a bit.
That went off the rails
Wow.
quickly.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go overseas.
And I just feel
Why
like it's
couldn't
seen
it be
some
an
stuff.
It's
American?
well traveled.
Yeah.
Well traveled.
I mean, he is the host of the travel guides about all these exotic destinations.
That's true.
And that vagina came from somewhere very exotic.
It very well have.
Where they're blue?
Maybe.
We
Maybe.
don't know. We
Is that
haven't
a
seen the
thing?
world. That's why you have to go explore.
I don't know. You've traveled a lot. And you've probably, I'm going to guess just by looking at you, you've seen a lot of lady parts.
Oh.
So have you seen blue ones?
Are we slut shaming? Is that what that was? Did you just cast me as a hoe?
Here's what's weird about your
Hocast.
perception.
That's like a new Google product.
No, stop. Here's what's weird about your perception of what I just said.
Okay.
Okay.
Did I slut shame you or did I just say a statement? So
What does that even mean?
So I said something, and the way you perceived it may have been slut shaming. But if you ever listen to this podcast, which I know that you do, we don't do that on here.
You know, one thing that you have to know
So-
about me is I am a detective for hypocrisy. Okay. And if the roles
like
were
where this is
reversed,
going.
if the roles were reversed, it would be wildly different. So I always pounce on those types of opportunities just to bring, I'm not offended, but just to bring it to the
Well,
front.
I
I feel
wasn't
like-
meaning to be offensive. I was just asking a question.
I felt attacked.
I feel like
Really? You did?
Shamed.
I don't slut shame. You do you. I am not one to judge.
I feel like Detective of Hypocrisy is like the Aldi knockoff version of the Halloween costume of Inspector Gadget.
Wow.
Was that too far? I don't know. All right. Well, before this gets any more ridiculous, at this point, Josh, we announced you are the guest of honor, Menage-A-Pod All Star.
we're so excited.
Former guest. Jenna also was a former guest on his show, and we are glad you came into town. You know, you reached out. We were really excited to have you again, and we
Be
thought.
honest, did you reach out because I shame you every single time you're here that you
not.
don't see me?
No. I reached out because I wanted to see both of you off air.
Respect.
But then I also wanted to
Respect.
Get some
man.
content.
All right.
Get some
I
content.
just wanted to make
We're
sure.
good. We're a good
Because I
team.
feel like every single time you come here and you don't see me, it hurts my soul
Don't be so
a
sensitive.
little bit, and then
And
I
your
let
lady
you
bits.
know. Not my lady bits.
Her bits and bobs.
You fucking.
That means your butthole, doesn't it?
Oh,
Are you?
Guys, we're out here talking buttholes.
Jesus, good
Getting
Lord.
wild.
but no,
You-
this is a
That is not what
menage.
I meant.
This is a menage of a podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
is.
that's what I hear.
It is. Well, since Josh is here as the guest of honor, and we kind of allowed him the opportunity, and by allowed, we mean we were lazy and he had a great idea.
He had a great idea.
So-
wait, can I just tell you this funny story? So Josh, it was actually his idea, and he called me when I was at my friend Deanna's wedding a couple weeks ago,
I was driving aimlessly through the backwoods of Florida.
which is weird because I was in Florida.
Right.
And then I was like, shit, I had a +1. I should have had him come because I feel like he's probably like a good dancer and he'd have a really good time, right?
Right. I feel a
And
little
people would love to look at your
stereotyped
face. No, I'm just
true.
saying. I did say that to you. I was like, people would
You
love
did
to
too.
see your face. Yeah. So anyway,
Thank you.
I didn't do it. I didn't ask him.
She always
It was a missed
objectifies you, man.
opportunity.
That's that
It's hard, man.
hypocrisy.
That's it. That's
I
it.
actually don't think that's objectifying you because I'm just stating the facts. You also have a lovely brain, which I've said multiple times in the show.
Let's stay on topic here.
I'm just saying,
blushing,
I'm
okay?
not
I don't-
objectifying you.
It's all good.
I'm not. It's not only about your looks. I'm not TJ. Okay, so
What, do I want to fuck him now?
I'm just saying. I've heard you
We
right
can
on,
hold hands, man.
under a scale of 1 to 10. All right, so here's the thing.
All right, explain what we're doing.
I love you. So anyway, he called me when I was at a wedding and I was hammered because there was like so many tequila shots and like all day pina colada drinking on the beach. And we had an entire conversation about what the topic should be. I had no recollection of
None.
what that was. I feel like I remember sitting there and talking to you on the stairs of the wedding, but I don't remember what we talked about. So like a week later, I was like, hey, so I know we talked about this, but like I need you to remind me what we talked about. So I actually like the topic. Do you want to tell people what we're doing?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So as I was driving through the backwoods of Florida, trying to avoid Florida man at all costs, I came up with this idea where we talk. Obviously, there's a lot of provocative topics that you all talk about on Menage podcast, and I was thinking, what if there was? But they're always really directed, obviously, with as the format for podcasting. So I thought, how cool would it be if we took all of the controversial topics, put them in a bowl, and had a grab bag episode. Now we have about
Such a good idea.
we had 5 each.
He's now the new art director or creative director, for our show.
executive producer.
Yeah,
I get a good idea once a year, so
Yeah,
I'll
it's
see you
good.
next year. But they've got, but we wrote 5 topics down each.
Yeah.
Put them in a bowl, and then we will be putting them or pulling them out one by one, talking to I'd say like 5, or we'll just go until we
We'll just go.
till it feels exhaustive.
Yeah.
And then and so hopefully it is entertaining. I'm sure it will be, and
And how
hopefully
could
you
it
all
not be
enjoy
with this
listening to
fucking
it.
group?
All right, and
you
can
should
we-
have heard the conversation over breakfast.
It was great conversation.
was excellent.
I wanted to punch everyone in the room, if I'm being honest.
You can't be mad about it.
No, and that was off
Can't
that was
be.
off the
I don't-
record.
Here's the thing: is I don't actually like being a part of these conversations because it makes me like, I know too much now about the insight into men's brains, and it's really unfortunate
So
as a woman.
Let's just talk about it. There was a story being told about a young lady, and
It's fine. Keep going. Could be anyone with TJ. Literally could be anyone.
Right. There was a story being told about a young lady. There was a inquiry about, what does she look like, and a number was offered up, which
Face and body number.
1, 2, 3,
It wasn't
4,
just a
5.
fucking
and
like,
a personality number.
Oh, there was. I
And
missed
a
that
personality
part.
number.
I missed that
I
part.
said face,
honestly.
body, and personality.
And personality.
And
Okay,
every
okay.
and when I say I said, I mean someone in the room said.
Okay.
But
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
But the fact of the matter is, that's a 10-point scale. We then later talked about it's basically a comparative tool that you all as ladies do as well. You all are,
But in a different way.
it
We're
doesn't.
not as
it
objectifying
accomplishes
that
the
way.
same goal. If you compare me to an ex-boyfriend or a guy that you just talked to, or some dude in the office, and you're like, he's cool, like he's good looking, but he's not like Tyler, he's not
Okay.
like that.
All right. So
He's similar to like Mark, who we know as Mark is probably like a 6. So that like
I never met a good looking Mark.
Well, this is true. So Jenny and I now have a 10 scale. Do you know what it is?
Oh, is this where you become the biggest hypocrite?
all
in the world?
hypocrisy.
Yeah. But it's only
Detective
like with
for
one person. No, it's only with
hypocrisy.
like one person. It's like 0 to hot trainer from the goat climb and cryo Andre.
Okay.
0 to like Andre. That's
Okay.
a scale.
That seems fairly objectifying.
I'm just saying.
You are
Literal
literally
real hot.
like choosing a man as the personification of the hottest thing
He
you
was
think
so
of,
hot.
and then comparing all other men against that scale.
Yeah.
Do you
so
see
I
it?
guess it's
Do you
the same.
see the hypocrisy?
No,
She
I
doesn't see it.
I see it. That's why I brought
her
it
name's
up.
Karen, and she wants to talk to the manager. She
No,
doesn't see that shit
that's
at all.
why I'm bringing it up, is that I do see it. But for some reason, it feels
Cancel.
less aggressive coming from my mouth than it does from yours. I don't know why.
Yeah, I do, because you're doing it.
Because I have a better intent. 'Cause
La-
I'm a sweet
Oh,
angel love
yeah.
bug. And I'm just like,
What's
the
that
sweetest.
called? Oh yeah, lack of perspective. That's right.
There we
Is that
go.
what it is?
Ding,
Oh.
ding, ding, ding. I
All right.
remember.
Fair enough.
All right,
right.
so cool.
So why can we, before we jump?
Also, fuck you for agreeing with that. You're like, yeah, he's right. Yeah. Okay.
Look, man.
That's rude
The
and
evidence-
hurtful.
the
Get out
evidence
of my
is
house.
here. The evidence
And
is here. I'm
I
taking
want
the
my
mic
drinks
with me.
back.
I'm
taking the mic, taking all of it. It's all going with him. All
Take my
right. So
bomb going on.
one late addition to the rules: if we open one and it's our own topic,
I can't.
actually, yeah,
Yeah, we
that works.
should. We should still address
That's
it.
better. Okay.
All right,
so-
you go first.
Okay.
No, guess first. You go first.
Okay. I'm going to reach in the middle because I know
because that's where good stuff always is. You got to reach deep up in,
In the
there.
middle?
you're
Yeah,
gonna
you do.
have a
Did you go?
whole-
Why'd you go in with 2 fingers? Is what I need to know. You didn't even spit on it or nothing,
I mean, I'm not mad
dude.
about it.
Gentlemen, chivalry is not dead.
Text etiquette
Okay.
is the
Ooh.
topic.
But what does that mean, really?
Okay, well, just like within the so that was mine.
Okay.
So I'll weigh in on that. So
Okay.
I think from my point of view, when I say text etiquette, I think there's a huge divide by the sexes, of course, on how we perceive what the appropriate like frequency, manner, tone of text communication.
I have so many answers to
And
this.
I think a great example of this is the red receipt. I think the way men and women react to being left on red is like so different. And so I commute. I'm in my car a lot.
I
have a
is
smartwatch.
my eye roll like? Is
I
that,
heard it.
Okay,
I can
just
hear
want
it.
to make sure
It's
that
mostly because
everyone
there's
saw it.
nothing else in your
Because
head.
I'm facing left to the camera, and I just want to make sure it was apparent.
We're trying to catch
that there
your
was a
good side.
Heavy eye roll there. Go on.
Okay. So heavy high roll. What even was I just saying?
We were talking about the left on red.
Right.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know
yeah.
you travel.
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot.
So I'm in my car a lot, and I have a smartwatch, and so a lot of times, like Instagram or Snapchat, I'll get a message and I'll see it on my watch, and it'll just like then show that I've read it.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, yeah. If the notification fully opens on my watch. And I could
hate
respond, but it would be a pain in the ass, so I don't. And frequently, if you send me a Snapchat, which is like, it goes away,
Right.
obviously. If I got a 90-minute drive and you snap me 20 minutes in, by the time I get home, I probably forgot what you snapped me because like 80 other people texted me, and that's just lost in the shuffle.
Is that hard being popular?
Thank you. It's not popular. It's thirsty. Is it hard being thirsty?
What do you mean? I got two drinks right here.
Saying.
My thirst is quenched. No, but I just think there's a huge difference. And that's kind of, I think tonally, I don't, if I send someone something and it shows that they read it, I'm just like, oh, they read it. I'm like, oh, what are they doing now? And then I'm watching them, and, oh, they posted this thing, but they haven't responded to me. And I think that's the biggest difference. What do you think the difference is, Jenna? Do you think it is different?
I think it's so much more simple than that. The reality is like, if you're in something that's healthy and normal and feels good, then like the leaving someone on red isn't a fucking issue.
Well,
right?
but what if it's new?
If it's new, that's fine. If it's new, you give it a minute, and I think you respond to that, right? So like, if you read it and the situation is what you say it is, like you're driving, and then an hour later, maybe I don't hear from you. I'm like, that's kind of shitty. But then if I hear from you 2 hours later, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Maybe he just had a busy day. But I think if it happens continuously, then that's an issue. Like, because your life isn't going to always be that busy. It's going to ebb and flow. And I think like it's reasonable for someone to understand that people get busy. But I think where you start to learn more about people is in those times when like you're everyday, right? So like if every day people have a behavioral pattern.
Oh, we just got it's psychological.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I roll. This is how I knew things were going weird with Rob, is that everyone has
this poor motherfucker spent like 6 straight weeks under the bus.
I know. But it's
we're
true.
Just dropping names.
The thing,
like,
well, he
Rob,
we've already
if you're
talked. We've already
watching,
talked.
this is about
He's not listening. He's not listening. But the thing is everyone has a behavioral pattern, right? And when someone deviates from a pattern, you know that there's something weird and something's wrong. So regardless of, I mean, if it's too new, maybe you don't know the pattern. But if you've been like chatting for like a week or so, you kind of get an idea of what that pattern looks like. So I think like if someone leaves you on red and that's like not a normal thing for them, then you know something's up.
Josh, I want to ask, so on this topic, my question for you, if you say you're working out, something's happening, and I know you're on your phone a lot, you're very kind of plugged into the matrix, same as myself.
I am.
And you get a message.
Disconnecting.
Same
Typical
girl,
millennial.
same. I know. So you get your message and you see it, and again on red, and then 30 minutes, 40 minutes goes by, and now they message you again, and it's like something snappy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're not. I see a red. You're not responding to my shit, or they come at you from another.
Okay, well, that person you shouldn't date because that person's
it happens a lot. I would say that's
Does
like
it?
almost 80% of women I interact with do that.
But then those people aren't people you need to date. That's weird.
Confirmed.
That's weird to me. What?
Confirmed.
Oh my God, who are you guys dating?
People get upset. It's not even dating. Like, I didn't take this as like necessarily a dating situation.
Or like hanging out with.
A person of interest. People are greatly offended. I honestly felt like red receipts are... I've definitely had a little bit of champagne. Red receipts are
Mission accomplished.
the first, like the most overt way to communicate that you don't care. Like, and
really?
that's more so how
Why is it so like covert? Like, here's my thing is like, why can't people just be real? Just be real.
Because people because communication sucks. People are bad at communicating. They're scared to just be honest. Yes, they are.
I feel like that's an excuse.
I agree.
Yeah.
As
be like a real human being.
Yeah. But I just don't think that's honest. People couldn't handle that because in reality, in this scenario, there could be a person who texts me when I'm driving and I want to talk to them. And if they text me again and there's something snappy, then I'm gonna get tight because and I'm fairly petty. Like, so I will definitely double down on my pettiness
for sure.
And not respond for 2 more hours just off the strength.
Silence is violence.
Exactly.
Really?
Exactly.
Are you serious?
Absolutely.
Don't
Silence
be
is
that
violence.
person.
Make that a hashtag. Trend that bitch.
But there may be somebody who texts me who I don't want to talk to, and if that is it, and I know that they know I don't want to talk to them, I will absolutely look on red. I saw it. Close it out.
Oh,
I
well,
don't
that's
care.
stupid. no offense, but like, why?
It's even worse. I'll tell you right now.
There just shouldn't be games is my thing. Like,
and you're going to hate this.
If you like someone though, the reality of that situation is that, and I don't know if that's really 100% true, but I find in my dating experience, if someone really truly likes you, even if they're driving, they'll say like, driving, text you in a sec. Like they'll respond.
So you want them to commit a crime and potentially put their life at risk.
Oh, give me a fucking break.
To placate your fragile ego.
Don't act like you don't do. Oh my God, you guys are. Don't even.
I'm a voice texter, so
I do.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you could voice text and say like,
yeah,
hey,
I could send
driving.
you some jarbled, fucked up words.
The reality is like
or
if you really. If you really like someone, I think no. If you really like someone, I feel like you'll say like. You'll send a voice text and be like, hey, driving, I'll text you in a sec.
But sometimes, especially when it's hooked up to your Bluetooth, Siri hates you. And she does not transmit
right.
She does not transmit your messages. So there's nothing I can do about that. Or you could just honestly forget. And I am a person who is not I'm not a
You forget about people that you care about?
Yes.
Yeah, you're a terrible texter. But
I am who I am.
I feel like
you do something that I do that I want to talk about when Jenna wraps this point up.
Okay.
No, that was it. Go on.
Okay, so I would argue that there's something even more savage than leaving someone on red, and it's never reading that motherfucker. Like, there are people in my inbox to this day. They've just been sitting for like weeks and weeks. If you want me to read it, you better send me. It better be more than I can read in the notification pane.
I got to be honest with you.
I talked to one of my boys. That is his DM strategy. It's to like put something where she can't read it. It's like. It's not. It's
Here's
smart.
the problem with only being the only woman in the room is that this is really disappointing.
This happens on both sides of the gender
Women do it all the
time. I hate that. That is not.
Well, I don't know. I can't speak for everyone. I can't speak for everyone.
We are not that different.
It. I hear you. But like, I feel like this is such bullshit. Well, also it might be an age thing. I just sort of feel like, well, not you. Not you. It's not. But like for me.
The fuck does that even mean?
Because you're older.
The disrespect.
I love you, buddy. I just sort of feel like, I don't know. At what point do you get to a point in your life where you're like, fuck this and fuck the games. I just want something real.
Never.
And I'm not going to fuck around. Well, that is a problem. Well, I actually think, no offense to both of you, but I think that's a maturity thing. Because as a woman, I can tell you that I'm not at that point anymore, but I don't want to play these games. And if I see people who are playing these games, I don't talk to them anymore.
I wish we could put out
Jenna out there.
If anybody,
she's not fucking around.
If anybody is watching this right now, please weigh in on Jenna's hypocrisy, please. If you think Jenna's full of shit.
Terrible,
it's not hypocrisy. The thing is like you get to a certain point in your life where you know what you want. Well, look, if you're evolved, I can't talk about you guys, but if you're evolved enough to like know that like this isn't what I want and what I want is X, Y, and Z, and you want to go after it, you don't fuck around with people who play these bullshit games.
But
no offense, boys.
What are we even
talking
talking about right now, though?
I'm just saying, like the leaving people on red. Like that's not
you are looking at it in the context of like somebody who you are communicating with on a daily basis and you are all the time. That's not what TJ's talking about.
I'm just talking about some broad difference.
Some predator comes into his inbox with something real spicy and he doesn't want to respond to it. He doesn't.
Okay, well then in that case, do you really not? Respond. Really?
A lot of times I don't even open them because you can see them from the notification, and I'm like, all right, I saw what I needed to see. I'm just going to leave this chill here.
There's no love in this scenario. There's no love.
Clearly, am I not describing like a very common phenomenon? Right. Like, how do you not believe it? This is something
that women do every day. Every day.
Well, that's actually, you're probably right.
I just want for those of you keeping score at home, that's 2 for us.
It's not 2 for you. It feels like
Uno,
it depends.
It depends
on no. It depends on your perspective on the situation.
No, bro.
Oh my god.
Wait, it depends on your perspective of the situation. Does this mean we're going to consider one other than yours?
Well, I think we have been. I think we just did we not?
Next,
smart ass.
Next topic. Right, you know what I think we need? I feel like we need like the PTI bell.
We can't have any bells in here. This dog will freak the fuck out.
All right, I'll pull the next one. All right, next topic. Oh, this is really stupid. Would you date someone who has a cat?
I think that's a valid question.
Why?
Because it's mine. But also because
perspective.
But also
the general theme.
My new nickname for Jenna is horse blinders.
But also lately, because I feel like I've been running into a lot of people who have cats, and I refuse to date people with cats. But here's why. 1, allergic. 2, I just sort of feel like people with cats are a certain personality.
Wait, I'm glad you said this. This is on topic, but a little off topic. When you said about being allergic to cats, I'm allergic to shellfish. Josh, are you allergic to anything?
I'm allergic to shellfish.
I'm allergic to pine nuts. I turn into Hitch.
Okay, so he's allergic to pine nuts, but
no Eva Mendes, so it's not fun.
I also know a lot of people who say they're allergic to shellfish who aren't, and I've come up with a theory that you can use a general allergy to anything as the perfect solution to get out of anything.
Huh.
Like you can literally like right now just be like sitting here and be like, oh my God, I just noticed.
Orange juice.
Yeah, I'm allergic to orange. I'm allergic to this table. I got to cut out. And you're just like free to go.
That's very true. Keep that one in your toolbox.
Well, but the cat thing is real because I've actually met a lot of people lately who have cats and I like don't want to date them because I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't want people to feel.
I can't stay at your house. I can't spend the night. I will sneeze. It's like a whole thing.
But what if you're not allergic? I just don't like cats.
Well, if you're not allergic, then that's a fine thing. But like,
I'm kind of lukewarm on all animals. I think cats are cool, dogs are cool, whatever.
I got to be honest with you. Being lukewarm on animals says a lot about your personality.
That's fine. That's fine. I was watching. This is probably gonna be controversial, but whatever. I was watching the Vic 30 for 30, and I was.
Oh fuck!
I was just so reminded how much more people care about dogs than they do people. Like it was. I was just like. I remember there was people. There were such polarizing feelings around this man going up the river for 2 years in the prime of his career.
This is actually that's a good.
Yeah,
this is
I'm
what
that
I'm saying.
person. Yeah,
This
I'm
is
that
what I'm
person.
saying. Yeah,
because
Okay.
he was hanging dogs by tree, like
his entourage was. He was not. He was not. Look at the facts. I just had this conversation with Kobe. I know with the whole sexual assault situation with Kobe.
We
I went
talked
back.
about it last episode.
I went back with looked at the facts of the situation. Like there were. I might need to go back and look at the video.
I think anyone though who like wants to fight dogs, regardless of what you're doing, like this. So
do you care about chickens the same way you care about dogs?
I care about all animals.
And even that though,
way,
but I mean,
I will eat them.
think of how many. Well, think of
But
how
I don't
many,
want you to fight them. That's just horrible.
think about how many poor areas in the South where they do dogfighting,
Right.
and it's just like so ingrained culturally. And yes, it's horrible. I'm not going to
agree.
fight dogs. Like I'm not
it's not
for
good.
it. Again, you did say this was polarizing, and it's funny that you brought this up because I have so many opinions on it. When he was just going to be honored as a captain for the Pro
God.
Bowl,
Yes.
and obviously this went viral all over social media. There were several like petitions that had gone, and every single person had to weigh in. And it's what's funny to me.
We're 15 years removed, aren't we?
Yeah, it's like
doesn't
maybe not.
matter.
just wait, Jenna. He did his time. Regardless, it's like
Yep.
he
did his time.
He did his
It was
time.
bullshit time.
Since he has done
2
his time.
years? How long do you want him for
So
life?
I think it depends on how you feel, right? Like, why would you not think an animal is part of your family? So, like, if someone killed my dog, I would be super fucking pissed. And it would be like you killing a part of my family. So it just depends on what your perspective is.
2 years, Jenna.
2 years is not enough.
There's a
If you killed like a sibling of mine, I would want you there for life. I don't think dogs should be there for life, but 2 years doesn't feel like a big deal to
okay,
me.
but here's the thing. Not only let's dive into this. He
love you.
He
I
did
mean
2
it.
years. Listen, Jenna. He did 2 years. He lost $100 million in earnings.
Don't care.
Just hear me out. He then became a passionate and outspoken advocate for animal rights.
Right, because his PR person said, this would be a really good idea for you.
On his own dime, flies all over, like has been recognized by animal organizations for his advocacy. And here's the thing. He went back and has already played in the NFL since that happened. Yeah. At the same time, Ben Roethlisberger had weathered two sexual assault allegations again.
Sweep it under
and the town of Pittsburgh rooted for that dude, but then they petitioned Mike Vick. And now Mike Vick, it's like, I get it, but if you're going to say, were he a white dude, would he have been treated differently? If he was, I think there's like a huge racial component.
Come on.
That's fair.
Yes, I feel like generally, yes.
But generally, in that, I think there's a huge racial component. If he was a white man, he would be treated differently.
I think the fact that Big Ben has been like on record raping women for years. I'm not going to say he's like a serial allegedly right. He's not like a serial rapist, but he is. I've heard of
there's
4
2.
instances.
I know of at least 2.
Okay, I'm not going to put my friends out there, but I've heard that it has been there have been more.
Shocking.
We're talking about Ben Roethlisberger.
Right. So and this is the time when like I agree that the NFL is not doing like there have been several instances of sexual assaults, women or violence against women, etc. However, his have just disappeared.
Yeah, no, you never hear
Well,
about
they
it.
shouldn't.
Disappeared.
That's a fucking
They put Ray
sports
Rice
for you.
smooth out of the league. They put who was the one not Tyreek Hill.
Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt. They put
He's
him.
been suspended twice.
Yes,
But
like it was.
see,
You don't hear anything about Ben.
No, and that's the problem with sports, right? Like then you have the whole Kaepernick. That's his name, right?
Kaepernick?
Kaepernick.
Oh, this could get. Let's see where this goes.
No, I'm just saying.
Strap in, folks.
It's interesting to see like where people focus, right? Like where people will draw focus. So it's okay for you to rape women in the NFL, but it's not okay for you to stand up for your beliefs.
Correct.
Like, that's a problem for me.
Yeah.
But then
And
we look
should
at
be
who our
for a lot of
president is,
people.
and so
And then
it
and that's
starts at
it.
the top.
And then exactly. And then people feel like they're okay. Like this is okay behavior. It's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
Sorry, we just got political. We never get political on the show. But this is what happened when Josh comes. Because the last time we
here
had
to
a
talk about
conversation,
the things.
we did.
You're
we had
polarizing.
a lot of. I know
You're a political
We did.
flashpoint.
This is the last time on his podcast before we recorded. We had like deep conversations about shit. I was like, oh, this is so deep. I just learned so much about me, which is frightening.
The point I think with Vic. So I would date a cat person. Yes.
Okay.
But
you would?
Yeah. I have no problem with that. I would not take care of the cat because it's not my cat.
And plus, cats don't need you to take
But
care of
what
them.
if?
Which is why I like cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, but like,
You
what
could
if she
you could be like,
traveled?
oh, I'm flying to Miami for 4 days. This cat's cool as a fucking cucumber.
No,
Right.
what if she traveled and was like, hey, I need you to watch my cat? Would you do it?
Yeah, I would do it I would do it.
Oh, that's
The only
sweet.
time I had an ex-girlfriend who had a dog, and she went out of town. It was the same thing. She was like, "Will you dog sit?" I was like, "Cool." I didn't know what to do, so I fed the dog, took it out, whatever. Was chilling. I went to sleep. I woke up, and the dog was looking at me at my door, and I was like, "I don't speak dog, but I feel like you did something." And I walked in, and there was just diarrhea all over my entire.
Don't speak dog.
It's real.
All right.
Wait, on your what?
I had carpet.
All of your stuff?
Yeah, all over my carpet, all over. So I went in and cleaned it up. I came back in. It happened 2 more times. I was like, I'm
Wow,
good.
he
I'm
was
never
anxious.
watching your dog again. I can't worry about that. They ain't got nothing to do
Oh,
with
you're not an animal person. And I feel like this just tells me a lot about who you are.
People,
not as an animal person.
if you are lukewarm on animals, people feel like you're kicking puppies in the street, and that is not the
kind
case.
of are.
It's really,
Kind of are.
there's no gray
That's what
area.
that's the vibe I'm getting
That's
from
not
you
the
right
case.
now.
I will come in. I will pet the dog. I will hang out with the dog. I will talk to the dog. I will set the dog down, and I will go on my way.
All right, guys. Before we pluck a new topic, since you brought up the NFL and we are where we are, kind of in timing, I think kind of a topical thing I wanted to ask your opinion about. There was a lot of stuff all over Facebook and social media the last week or so about fallout from the Super Bowl halftime show with
I thought you were
J-Lo
going
and
down
She
Shakira.
looked
Kobe Lane.
amazing.
We talked about Kobe last week.
Oh man,
Yeah,
She made
I
everyone want to go to the gym. Literally, that was like the group text I had. It was like, J-Lo, everyone needs to now go to the gym.
Well, I think this conversation is sort
Also,
of
a lot of
multifaceted.
lady bits shots.
Lady bits.
So many lady bit shots.
Multifaceted. And before we start this, I want to show everyone something. So there's a photo that they caught from her performance where J-Lo is bent over, and I'm gonna zoom in because her leotard, it's stretched out a little bit, and you can see
boob?
her butthole.
Oh, come the fuck on. This is the problem.
Guys, hold on.
No, don't.
I'm going in.
No. No, absolutely. No.
It's not showing up. It's there. I'm gonna send
my
this.
God, that poor
Follow
woman.
at Chicago Cafe Racer.
That
Follow me.
poor
I will
woman.
send this shit to you.
Come on.
Okay, so that's not really part of the conversation, but someone did just send that to me, and I think it's fucking hysterical. But what's the thoughts? You said that it's great that she looks like that. Jennifer Lopez is 50. Shakira's I believe
She
she
looks
just turned
incredible.
43. And other than the outrage about it, there's this other argument that the outrage about it was manufactured. Have you heard that? That there's
Oh,
really
I haven't heard that.
Oh yeah, now in the last couple of days I've seen a lot of no one's even saying it's bad. It's just people bitching about people saying it's bad, but nobody actually is saying it's bad. So have you actually seen people on social media talking shit about it?
No.
I have seen it. It was posited. I mean, not to be political, but it was posited as that. Like it was like the Christian evangelicals of the world were like offended by Shakira's tongue flick.
Ooh, that shit.
Oh. Well, you know what's
Ladies, if
funny?
there's anybody out here who can do that, hit me up. These DMs.
The funny part is I was at a party that was like predominantly, I'd say probably 50-50 men, women. And in the room, it was quiet. And the minute she did that, everyone started laughing, men and women. And then you hear the men go, not mad about it. And then the women are like, me either. Like it was, yeah.
Like I just don't. There's
and
so
then
much
I was like,
other
that's
stuff.
the next meme. And it was.
There's just so much other stuff to be upset about. I felt no ways. Had the privilege of actually being in the building. Couldn't see anything, but I remember when I saw it.
Oh, right, you were there. I forgot
little,
that.
That's a little humble brag,
It was
little
a
flex
Whatever.
there.
It was a humble flex.
Yeah,
So hard to be you, Josh.
I was in the building at the Super Bowl.
super hard.
But it was. I didn't care. I'm all with it.
I mean, I think they
To
looked
quote Jenna,
amazing.
man,
Yeah, I mean, 10 out of
They
10
looked
would make out with both of them.
So would I. Like, Jesus, they're hot. I want to look at that. I mean, I want to look at that at 30 something, let alone 50. Like, Jesus. My
Okay,
turn.
You're up.
This is appropriate. Long distance relationships.
Okay.
That is all it says.
I mean, I think we've
This
talked
is
about
so
this.
My life.
We have.
Yeah, because we're both like gluttons for punishment in
Yeah.
like the long distance relationship.
Here's my thing with long distance relationships, though, that I've learned is that at some point, someone has to make a move.
They're really great if you like
Right.
cheating on people.
No, here's what
Like if you are dedicated to the cause of
Stop it. That's
as Naughty
not
by
true.
Nature once said, OPP, then get into a long distance
That's
relationship.
not true. My therapist actually said to me, she was like, you know why you like them, right? And I was like, oh God, I don't care. And she's like, you like them because they're a low touch point, because you can have them when you want them and then push them away when you need to. And you can still have this independent life that you live here.
Sounds great.
And I think it sounds great, right? Which was her point. And she was like, okay, next time I want you to date someone who lives in your city. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. But I think she's probably right. But I think at the end of like, I'm not the norm. I understand. So people do long distance relationships. But the problem is that at some point, someone has to make the move to live in the same place. And that I think is the hardest part of all, right? Is that
agree.
like the older you get, right? So like if you're like in your 20s, easy. If you're in your 30s, it might be a little bit harder because everyone has a career
Right.
typically at this point. So at this point, you are settled. You know what you want.
Well, it makes them a little bit more inevitable. That was the champagne popping, so sorry about that.
We popping bottles.
That was Does anybody else need any?
Yeah. You know what? Why don't we top me over here?
I just sort of feel like that's an issue though, is that like at some point for me specifically, which is why long distance never works out for me, is that I'm settled where I am. I'm happy where I am. I have a job here. I have a life here. And for
Right.
me to uproot that for someone, you have to be a really fucking important someone. And that's hard.
So my last very serious relationship was probably I guess like one of two that I've had, to be all honest. But we were long distance for 3 or 4 years.
Oh,
3 years. 3 years.
well,
Strong
that's
three.
not crazy to me. But at some point, did you have the conversation of saying like,
Yeah, you had to. But the thing is that you have to figure out. I've always said like long distance relationships give you an opportunity to see if it's real. Like that's really
Yeah.
like that stuff is not. I know some people who have been in long distance relationships and they've like proposed like off that, and I'm like absolutely not. Like I need to be in the same. I need to understand like what it looks like.
Yeah.
What the dynamics. Just anybody can be. I'm being your representative for a weekend.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
That's it,
as
yeah.
opposed to seeing you on the every day, the day in, the day out. And that's but I need to make sure that I am intrigued enough to
Sure.
go down that route with you.
Sure.
That's how I've always looked at it. I think they suck generally. They're definitely not ideal, but sometimes it's a necessary evil. And I think to your point, like depending on who you're dating, if you are dating a professional, if you're dating someone who is progressing in their career, it's likely that they have a life, they're going to be here, and you are doing the same thing. So it's kind of like the reality is like that's a very real possibility that it's going to be long distance for a little bit until somebody moves.
Right.
I also kind of think, and TJ and I talked about this earlier before we started to record, was that like my issue with my ex-boyfriend who was long distance was that like there are certain things I think you can accept from somebody because they're long distance that you wouldn't necessarily accept if they were local.
Same board, about
Like
that.
dick pics?
No,
Required.
those absolutely are required. What was it? Nick and What were the sex toys that were long distance?
I refuse to purchase.
Oh, the
We
ones where
talked
the
about
remote
it. Yeah, we talked about it on
I heard
that. Was
about
it
it.
Nick and Nora? I don't
have a
fucking
story
remember.
I wish I could tell
Anyway,
you.
my point is,
God damn.
is that I feel
Guys,
like
you're missing out there.
I feel like I think relationships last longer long distance because you're what you said.
You're
like you're
idle.
only yes.
Yeah, you're
and
idle.
like I
It's not
can
real
be
time.
awesome for like a weekend, but you get in my day to day, and I may not be as awesome as I am for a weekend.
There are a
So
lot of people
I
who
think-
date for 2 years long distance that wouldn't date 6 months in person.
No, yeah,
Totally.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily for me, I mean, with me living in the suburbs, but living most
It
of
is
my
pretty
life,
long distance for you.
every relationship's long
Yeah,
distance.
that's
for me.
actually probably true. I don't want to know
I
the
already know
story.
the
I don't
story.
actually want to know the story. Can you pick a topic, please?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Is it my turn to pick a topic?
Yep, yours.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Immediacy of attraction. All right, that looks like Josh's handwriting.
It is.
Why don't
And
you lead us off there?
It was a topic of conversation beforehand because we were. I don't know if it stemmed from the Jenna's rage from the rating situation before we realized that she did the exact same
Rage
thing.
feels appropriate.
However, the question was posited. When you meet someone, how long does it take for you to know if they did not talk themselves out of it, that they could get the cookie?
Well, that feels like a hard question.
Knock the stuffing out that English muffin.
I think it's probably different from men to women, and maybe not. But like, I just sort of think
You know.
I fucking am ignoring everything that you're saying right now. The thing is I feel like women, no offense, men are a little bit deeper. So, and every dating, I used to work for a dating matchmaking company when I first moved to Chicago. I did their marketing.
Christian
And
Mingle
one thing,
or Farmer's Own?
no, it was
J-Date?
called Selective Search.
That sounds like, Jenna, you worked for an escort service.
It was like
Selective
the
search,
millionaire.
is it like Craigslist back page?
It was like the millionaire matchmaker of Chicago. You've seen it in all the airline magazines. Anyway,
Ooh.
yeah, it's like a legit service.
We need a flex alert.
I know.
Yes.
I'm just over here. I'm just a poor dude in a hoodie. Don't mind me.
I feel like what we would learn there was that like men were, I mean, this isn't anything groundbreaking or crazy, but like men were very, very visual, and like women were more so like, it had to do with like your attributes and your personality and things like that. Like women generally will look at you as a whole package, whereas like men they're just visual creatures, and that's okay.
They're going to look
So
at
I
my
think-
whole package?
I think for women, it takes a little bit longer to decide whether or not it's something they want to like. I feel like women will give you more opportunity to like be you as like opposed to a man who will just judge you based on what you look like. And that's the immediate attraction.
But the reality is, you've never seen, and I'm somebody who I have to know. I'm not going to lay down with somebody who I don't know. Like I need to understand.
You're a germaphobe.
I am, but I also am a consequence phobe. So I know if something breaks or something slides or something like that, and we end up in an 18-year relationship, I need to make sure that you are.
It's like half your life.
So in this scenario, you would
Well, I hope
hypothetically fear you wouldn't want to push her downstairs.
Wow.
I mean, asking for a friend. I mean, I wouldn't do that, but I don't know how you get down.
I'm not.
No? Okay. I mean, I had to ask.
We're not
What,
leg
I wouldn't be
sweeping her at the
doing
top
my
of the stairs.
investigative journalism best if I wasn't asking you these hard-hitting questions.
That's the hard question.
Yeah. Okay, guys, you heard it here first. GQ50 would not push a pregnant woman downstairs.
Would not
Continue.
Would not do that at all. But yeah, I just feel like you have to know them. However, I have never looked at someone and been like, man, she looks like really, really funny. And like she has a great
No, of
personality.
course
I have.
not.
I've been looking. Look at that
That's
funny looking
but
bitch.
That's my point.
And
is
you
that
haven't
you're like,
either. That is the immediate. So no one.
well, not immediately, but my point was that a woman will find out if someone's funny and has a good personality.
We
whereas
are
like a man.
all shallow beings.
Yes,
we are
but
all
men
shallow
more
beings.
so than women.
Why?
Because that's nature.
Nah, bro.
Yeah.
That's the
I
narrative.
disagree.
Oh, is it?
That's
It
the
is.
narrative.
Okay. Prove me wrong.
We all need
Prove me
we
wrong.
all need a paradigm shift.
Give me an example of when I'm wrong. When have you met someone?
You've been wrong twice already on the podcast.
That's a
bullshit.
conservative estimate
Give
of
me
wrongness.
an example right now of where you met someone who you were not physically attracted to, but then dated because she was funny.
Well, that's not what we're even.
That wasn't what we were talking
Well,
about.
kind of, because you're saying
I'm a shallow person, so I'm not going to
That's
date
my
somebody.
point.
But I'm not going to date somebody who I'm not attracted to.
But that's my point. Women will.
There are a
Women
lot
will
of guys who
say-
would
I
too.
would too. I
just
dated.
wouldn't.
I told you. All right, so now it's going to be Josh's turn. Why don't you dive in there, GQ50.
I'm gonna hop on in here.
Big sexy up in this motherfucker. I just said it. The performative aspects of my podcasting skills cannot be understated.
After the first date, what are the next steps?
Anal.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, who is this person?
First date is like everything but anal, and then the next steps are anal.
That is wild, a wild statement, but it's almost fairly
Shut the
consistent.
fuck up.
There's a woman
God, Josh,
who,
I am seeing you in such a different light
What do
today.
you mean?
I don't know. I had you painted differently in
What
my
is
head.
your
and
objection?
This is very interesting for me.
What I
we're just
I'm
all being
kidding.
sex positive.
I'm kidding.
Can I tell you really quickly?
But
there's-
like,
there are a lot of one-nighters that happen, which is everything but.
totally.
yeah, everything but.
So I said his statement was wild, but it was
Okay.
also kind of accurate.
Sure.
I
It was
by
in
that.
bounds.
Yeah.
Sure. What was the question?
That I feel like you've gone off on people and then asked what was the question.
No, I know. I
several
think it was
times.
my question.
After the first date,
Yeah, it was mine.
what are the next steps?
Right. Okay. So
What would
clearly
you
for
like?
TJ, it's anal.
What would you like the next steps?
No,
to
I'm
be?
just wondering what they are. Like, I'm wondering, is it like, are you the kind of person who like follows up right after and says, I had a great time. I can't wait
Did
to
I
see you
have a good
again."
time?
Yes. Let's say
I
you
think
did
I'm going
have
to
a good
follow up
time.
right away, regardless of if I did
If
or did
you
not. And I'm
well,
going to be like,
so that's
you were
the
great,
thing.
you were not great.
Oh,
Moving
you would
on.
say,
I just-
oh, really?
Wait,
I feel like that's a nice thing to say. Like, yeah, set the expectation.
Being honest.
being honest. And
Oh
she,
my gosh, dudes can't be honest without being mean. It is very consistent with my experience.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, guys, I'm very honest, and you are always the asshole until they date a guy who lies to them, and then you are never appreciated, and you are always the asshole until they date an actual asshole who lies to them and cheats on them and does whatever.
I appreciate the honesty.
Now, you didn't when you were 25.
Well, I don't remember 25, but
You didn't when you were 30.
maybe, sure. I was in a relationship at 30, so I don't know.
Does
But-
honesty cease?
No, but I don't know because I wasn't out dating was my point. Like, I feel like if I was out dating, I don't really know what that would feel like, but I can tell you what it felt like from 25 to 30 something is that like,
You can tell people in your 40s, no, it's fine.
can you?
Absolutely.
I mean, I think actually it's okay. I think you should always be honest because I think it's nice to level set, right? Because I also think it depends on how you date, right? So for someone like me who just kind of like, well, actually not me, 2020 Jenna is very zen. I think my new motto.
You went to one resort.
I went to
Now
one
shit all
resort
figured
for
out.
like a week and now I feel super zen.
She's
And I've totally
The lighting here is
revamped
very
my life.
mood lighting. Are we about to bang? I feel like we can make like low rent porno
if I
here
was
right now.
only so lucky.
You say low
but-
rent or glow rent?
Either glow rent.
Thought you
That's
had a black light or something.
that's my porn production company. It's called Glow Rent
You don't have
Productions.
black light in this house.
You do not.
I'm just
And can we not just gloss right over that I suggested group sex and Jenna said, well,
I was
I'm
like,
not
I
mad
mean,
at it.
I'm
Go
not
on.
mad about it. It's like a Saturday. It's fine. I don't know. Things could get crazy.
What else do you do after brunch?
First we got them biscuits, now we got them biscuits.
I don't know. I just think people should be honest. That's really, I think, the end of this conversation is that everyone should just be honest. Like,
Okay.
it may hurt your feelings for a second. You may cry or whatever and not be excited to hear it. But the reality is like, it's better to hear it than to like wonder what the fuck's going on.
Agreed.
I mean, I agree, but that's just not. You have to create the safe space to receive honesty, though.
Do you though? Because
Yes.
I feel like you can be who you are and be honest, and it doesn't matter how other people.
I also
receive
feel like
it.
that could be
If
an-
they cry, if they're
But
upset
then
or
they
whatever.
call
Then
you.
that-
Then they call you an asshole.
well, then they call you an asshole. But you did the right thing by being honest. So I don't think it's your problem. The way they receive the message
couldn't
isn't
agree.
your issue.
That is the most spot on
Thank you.
statement that I have ever heard you make.
Ever?
Ever.
Wow.
Ever.
That's really
She doesn't
selling me
make
short,
many
but I
spot on
appreciate
statements,
that.
so let's not go.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, who's up with the next
Oh,
poll?
me.
Art, is it you again?
Again, I've only picked one.
I feel like you're bad at this though.
Fuck you. The reality of a relationship is not real, and the choice every day. I feel like this is your hand.
That was mine. We had talked about. There was a statement that was in the.
Do you
that was
have
said
it?
in
Do you
the-
want to read it?
in the kitchen? Oh, you're talking about the yes. We
Yeah,
can,
that's
we
a
can
good.
do that.
Yeah.
So, a little background. I was perusing the interwebs and found this very controversial statement that was posted by a man. Yeah, it was a man who has been married for 13 years, and it is called The Brutal Truth About Life After Marriage. Again, he's been married for 13 years. Quote, sex can become monotonous. Masturbation can be preferable at times, and cheating makes you feel horrible. Children can really be annoying sometimes, especially while babies, and you will sometimes secretly regret ever having them or having as many. And you feel guilty for having these thoughts. You and your spouse will argue over absolutely pointless and meaningless things, and the sight of each other will start annoying you due to built-up resentment that neither talks about. You will want to kiss your spouse. You will not want to kiss your spouse passionately after a certain point. It becomes like kissing a sibling. You still have sex. You just stop kissing, except for the hello, goodbye, peck thing. But you become attached to your spouse and, of course, your children. And there are good times, and also so you don't want to leave. So you tend to be in a perpetual state of unhappiness mixed with what it feels like to have odd contentment. But it really feels like I got called on to reading class.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
Doing a great job.
But it's really just a fear of change or what your kids or parents or in-laws or whoever will think if you divorce. Plus, nobody likes to admit failure. And most of this stuff you'll just hold inside and never tell a soul while you smile for family photos and everyone thinks you're so happy.
Oh.
And as a single man that was like, or an unmarried man, that was petrifying to read.
Was it? I want to hear your perspective on that.
I mean, this is the literal nightmare. This is why, like, I would be George Clooney and just not get married and live my life and be cool Uncle Josh, tell my, friends and family, send the kids out to the Swiss Alps. We'll go skiing and whatever. And just like have a string of, appropriately aged girlfriends that would, come and go over the years. So I could have a partnership.
You could also have a partnership and then not have. So before I go into what I think, like, do you think that's real? As
I don't
someone
know.
who's never been married, how do you feel about that?
I don't know. Some of this feels, it definitely feels realistic. So I will say that. We talked about privilege a little bit earlier. I've had the privilege of having like two parent, I grew up in a 2-parent household. Parents were very much in love. They have been married for 40 years. Like that was my model. So I see that, but I also have the displeasure of having, or not even displeasure, but I have the perspective of having a lot of friends, family who have been divorced and who are just very much realists about the situation, are very much like, you need to wait until you are, every girlfriend I got in my 20s, you need to wait until you're 30. Do not get married before 30. Do not get married before 30. And like, I understand it. I get it. I get why they would say that. I think there are you're learning a lot about yourself. I had dynamic growth between 28 and 30.
Yeah.
And that was like, and if I could only imagine going through that period of growth and growing apart from someone when you are already married and not feeling like you have the freedom to go out and do what you want. And that is what is most important to me, is my freedom and being able to, and not having to answer to somebody. Those are my feelings.
Those are good feelings. They're very valid feelings.
Thank you, sir.
I respect you. You should feel seen because I see you.
I do feel seen by TJ.
Listen, I hear you. And I actually
think you don't see me though.
No, I really, I do. But I come at it from someone obviously who's been married before, blah, blah. We know that I just sort of think, I don't know if I believe in marriage anymore. Like, I think everyone should do it once and kind of see what it's like. But even what this guy described was really any kind of relationship. You could be married, you could be dating.
Fair.
And we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Like, it's a choice, right? Like, it's a choice to be in something every single day. So like, whether you're married and miserable, you could be dating and miserable. But I actually don't really look at that as miserable. I look at that as contentment, because at some point,
He said that though.
But the way he talks about it, when I hear you read that, reads bitter to my ear for some reason. And I just sort of think like, there's something really nice about getting to a point with somebody where there's a routine and there's like a pattern and I think it depends on who you are, right? Not everyone's like that, but I am built like that. Like I love something that's stable. I love something that's solid, and I love knowing that that's going to be there, right? So for me, that doesn't actually sound so terrible. I think the remix situation of that is that like you have to try every day to make that not be so mundane.
I agree.
And that's where I think this poor guy has kind of gone off track. So the other things he says about a routine and about like kisses goodbye and children, that's all just facts. That's facts. But I think the way you take that situation as a couple and make it your own and make it happy and exciting for you is a completely different story. So I just think they might be in a rut, and I don't know. Therapy sounds good for them,
That's
or
fair.
like just trying a little harder sounds good for them.
There were a couple of things. I posted that on my story, and like I thought it was going to be like people were just going to hate it and whatever. And I do a lot of things for the reaction, but they like the responses were so mixed from everybody, all ages, all races, all both genders, like married and hadn't been married, like, and they were all mixed up. It was all jump. There were no trends in any of the responses. It was very much like, yeah, I could definitely see that. It's absolutely like that. It's never like that. I got one. She was pissed, was like fully believes in the sanctity of marriage and like, and really like wants to get married, XYZ. And
that person's not married, right?
She's not married.
So I feel like, no offense, but like, you're not an expert.
I get it. But you said something that I wanted to comment on. It's very topical because Valentine's Day is coming up, and you said that you have to really work to not make things so mundane.
Yeah.
And that is the crux of why I do not believe in Valentine's Day.
Oh.
Like, I think it's
meaning
stupid.
like
I don't
you should do
celebrate
something every day instead of just one day. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
It was exactly a year ago you came on.
My God, was it? Oh, yes, it was. Oh, shit. Look at that. You're totally right.
How about that?
I think you're right about that. I mean, obviously, like, I think Valentine's Day is a bullshit holiday. I think that you should celebrate every day. But
the reality is people don't.
Well, they don't. But those
date nights
that's that guy who wrote that fucking thing.
Fair.
Yeah.
But I mean, so he needs a date night. He needs Valentine's Day.
He needs a lot of things.
He needs all that.
He needs steak and BJ Day.
That.
When is that? It's coming up.
It's March 14th.
March 14th. Okay.
Steak and BJ Day, ladies.
Like every day?
The month after.
I wish.
These are things that I feel like he got told in his engagement, and then they stopped.
Yeah.
I feel like he was sold
100%.
sold a dream, but honestly,
a bill of goods.
I will say though that like, and someone who doesn't have kids, but have seen it happen with a lot of my friends, that like kids add a whole extra layer into a relationship that I'm not aware of, and I get. You sort of have to have a routine in order to survive being a parent. It's a thing. Kids love routine, right? And I just think like in order for you to break out of whatever that guy's saying is you have to make an effort. I think that's the underlying thing, is that you have to make an effort, because it just like it is what it is. I hate that saying, but it is what it is. Like you have kids and your life becomes a routine because kids need a routine. So that's just life.
Throw them to the wolves.
But
fuck it.
You have to like pivot a little bit and realize that like your kids are not your life, and that's where I think people get.
I read an article
off track.
that was similar to that, and they were saying like there was a female writer or female author, and she said the headline was, "Yes, I love my husband more than my kids," and that was the basic like sentiment. Was
I saw that
you can't sacrifice your marriage for your.
You can't. You really, and you shouldn't. And I know people who do it really well, and I've seen it happen, so I know that it can happen.
Right.
But the problem is more often than not, it doesn't happen. And I think that's where people get into trouble. So this poor guy, like he just seems unhappy.
That's tough.
Yeah. Maybe you just don't get married.
Maybe not.
Your turn.
This is a good one. This is Jenna's handwriting, and you'll know why, because she's a goddamn alcoholic. Would you date someone who doesn't drink? So I'm going to start off and say, anyone who knows me super well knows that I am not that big of a drinker. Like, I mean, I will have a drink, but I'm not a big drinker. With that said, I've gone out on a couple dates before with people who were like alcoholics in recovery or people who just like weren't drinkers. And it was always awkward. Like I kind of like carry the weight of that. Mm-hmm. Like,
you man. Make sure
yeah. So for me, I would not date someone who doesn't drink.
I mean, I wouldn't either. Because I think it comes down to common interest that we were talking about before we started to record.
If we can't hang out, we can't watch Sex and the City and drink mango cappuccinos together.
Shut the fuck up.
I don't want that love.
I've been out
I'm a real Carrie Bradshaw.
I dated a lot
She's the worst. Okay, her and Charlotte are the flipping.
Who's your girl? Who's your boo?
Samantha is my girl.
She is.
She's so sexy.
She owns her sexuality. She speaks her mind. She's getting her own money. She's really. I mean, that's what it is.
You remember the movie Mannequin?
Oh yeah, she was in Mannequin.
She was hot in that too.
She was great in Mannequin. Yeah,
imagine her like
Also
25, bro.
Great soundtrack.
Oh, it was before that. Way before.
Yeah.
Look it up on the internet.
So good.
Kim, guys,
So good.
All our younger listeners, Kim Cattrall
Agreed.
in a Mannequin. Check it out.
Man.
Agreed.
Yeah, Samantha was. I love Samantha, and I mean Carrie did everything. Carrie was fine. I didn't like it because and just super fly, whatever. I couldn't pay her rent, but she was fine. They villainized Big so much on that. It was a quintessential man hating show. I feel like.
Ooh, unpopular opinion.
Yeah, hot take. But
yeah, because I feel like I feel like every woman out there has dated someone who's a Big.
Describe him to me.
The thing that I feel like with him and Carrie, he was like very much as someone who should be older and like more established and like settled. I felt as if he should know what he wants, but he doesn't. I feel like he kind of fucks around with her. Like one minute he's into her, the next minute he's not. Then he decides that he's going to get married. Then he's going to fuck around on his wife with her. There are so many.
She cheated on Aiden simultaneously. This is what always happens.
She did.
People never talk about.
She did. I never said
Carrie.
that. I never said that she was wrong. Actually, I was really mad that she cheated on Aiden because I thought he was great for her.
Cheated on Aiden.
I get it.
I was
totally
watching the
John
sequel.
Corbett.
I loved him.
Just
and I loved
wholesome guy.
I loved him for her because he grounded her.
He'll give you back massages and he'll like fix the leg in your chair when it's broken.
Thing.
Like
the thing is,
but he wasn't good enough. He wasn't good enough.
It's chemistry. I think it's not that he wasn't good enough. I just think you can't help who you love. So sometimes, like you can intellectually
Sometimes you make excuses
think,
for Carrie Bradshaw breaking a dude's heart.
No. I
Carrie,
think sometimes
you broke my heart.
It made me so angry
That was
because
a
I thought
spot on
Aiden was like the best thing ever. But I sometimes think you can't help who you love, right? So like who you have chemistry with. Sometimes it's just out of your control.
I hope you guys will keep that in mind the next time you are emotionally or physically cheated on. That sometimes you just can't.
No, I'm not saying cheating's okay. I'm just saying for her decisions or his decisions, like you can't help who you love. Like it just is what it is.
And what was this question originally about? I'm trying to remember.
It was about what was it?
Would you date someone who drinks?
Oh yeah. I wouldn't.
Okay, so we got that. Let's hear your take on that, Josh.
But only because like I feel like I've tried.
We just did like a 5-minute deep dive into Sex in the City.
We need to tag all of them.
I've tried and it doesn't work for me.
Charlotte is the worst.
She is.
The
She's
absolute
the worst.
They're just a portrait
Oh my
of
God,
privilege
she's the
and
worst.
do nothingness. Like I
She's
just
like not cute.
Oh,
Charlotte? I think she's
that's
cute.
a hot take.
What's her name?
I have no idea. Charlotte was low key.
I mean, she was like cute and like the girl next door.
She was cute in like I would crawl naked, nuts first through glass to listen to her fart in a walkie-talkie.
What?
That was a lot.
I don't even know what that means. I just sort of think like she was fine. She was fine. She just was like sort of boring.
Her character was boring, but
Yeah.
but
I'm sure she's a straight
the
freak.
actress is low key tough.
So
The actress, yeah, but that's not what you're talking
Correct.
about.
And Charlotte was the worst.
Yeah, she was the worst.
She was judgmental. She was slut shaming.
So would you date someone who does not drink,
She did
Josh?
slut shame. That's a very
a
valid point.
whole lot. She was
Yeah.
she was so
I didn't like
whole
that.
thing.
Yeah.
Charlotte sucks. I would date someone who doesn't drink.
Okay.
Clarifying question for the question: do they have other vices?
Yeah, like they
good question.
really throw down with Afghani black tar heroin.
Okay, fair enough.
or they're really heavy in like widening their perspectives through the use of ayahuasca.
Okay, fair. So I'm out on both of those.
A little DMT.
I'm good.
DMT.
I don't even know what that is. That is, yeah. But if they were a smoker instead of, whatever, I have learned that cocaine is like just very common these days.
Yeah, it really is.
I learned that
Unfortunately,
too.
It's like I had only seen it in movies. I was
Same.
like, I gotta get out of here. Like,
Same.
yeah.
I And my ex-husband.
Or brocaine, am I right? But
So, but yeah, I think if they, depending on if they had other vices, I could.
okay.
I'm a progressive guy.
So Josh is a little more open-minded than the rest of us.
Well, clearly, because I think my thing is I want to come home and I want to drink a glass of wine. And I've dated people who have addiction issues, which is why they're not drinking. Right. So the thing is it's like they'll always say, you can have a glass of wine, but then I feel guilty having a glass of wine. And then I feel judged if I want to have the second glass of wine.
Right.
So I don't know. I just feel like, again, it comes back to having these similar like backgrounds and interests.
Right.
And although I think I would like to branch out beyond what I know, I sometimes think I always fall back into what's familiar.
You know what?
Like having a glass of wine with dinner is familiar.
To go full circle for this episode, this topic, and every previous episode and topic, I think the key is communication, right?
I mean,
Absolutely.
I guess, yeah.
Sure. Just all of these topics, like be clear about what you want, be clear about what you don't want.
Right.
Like if something bugs you, let somebody know. If you've got an issue, get out in front of it.
If you're shooting a shot, you gotta
Just
talk
shoot
about
that
it.
shot. Yeah, get out in front of it. That's what we're going to end on. So, guys, before we leave the show and say goodbye to our wonderful guest, Josh, I just want to remind you to swing by our new online store at teespring.com/stores/Menage-A-Podcast to pick up a piece of our newly designed merch, our t-shirts with the iconic bubble logo.
I told my coworkers about it, and
yeah.
everyone told me they were going to order swag. So if we don't see a spike in numbers, I'll be real pissed.
Well, Jenna, in the first like 7 days the store's been up, we've already sold like 46 shirts.
We have?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So that's a big thing. So
Look at that happening.
keep on buying our shirts. Sold 4 hoodies, a couple stickers. So
Love it.
get out there, buy our shit,
I'm in
fuckers.
it.
So if you want to support us, remember, go to teespring.com/stores/Menage-A-Podcast. Jenna, another episode. That was hard to do.
That was hard. The / is always hard.
It is. All right, guys. Well, Josh, GQ50, our guy, favorite of our fans, favorite of us. We're so glad you can come by.
Thank you for having me.
I
Tell
feel like I
everyone
talk
again.
about you in every episode.
I will pull
if
up.
I'm honest.
Honestly, I am an avid listener, and so I
pull
always
You hear it.
love whenever I'm
When you get the mention. All right. Well, why don't you let everyone know like what you're up to, where they can find you online, where they can hear your podcast.
So we went a little dark in November and December. Well, actually December after the Thanksgiving trip. However, we're about to refresh. We've been loading up the kitty for 2020. So we have brand new episodes coming featuring a lot of new destinations, including Australia, New Zealand, India, etc. And additionally, we'll be planning our inaugural trip around Labor Day, I'm thinking, so it'll be cool. Watch out for that. And then please follow us, at The Travel Guides, TheTravelGuides. And then you can follow me as well at GQ50 for all the shirtless Wanderer pictures.
There you go.
So good.
And this
you guys
dude,
are so good.
and this dude, he
Not
just said
mad
something
about
about
it.
filling up the kitty in 2020.
Yeah, that sounded dirty. It sounds
all
a
I'm
little
trying
dirty.
to do in
It's not-
2020
it's not
is
intentional.
What
I am
did it
trying to
actually
fill
mean?
up as many kitties as
Hashtag
Yeah, I
possible.
bet
Love
you
the
are.
Hashtag
Gross. I
all
can't.
kitties matter.
I have to sign off now because I just need to shower
All right,
off
guys.
this episode.
If you have a topic you want us to explore or have any questions you want to ask, you can write to us at menagepod3@gmail.com or on Instagram at menagepodcast. Click our link tree to check out some of our top episodes. If you'd like to be a guest, there's a link to click. You can do that there.
Nice.
Come talk to us, Menage Podcast.
Really proud of you guys. You guys' progress is very,
Thank
very
you.
Thanks,
dope.
man.
Very
We
dope.
appreciate it. Guys, we love you. And make sure you're checking out that video of me being an asshole online. Also, that was fun. And I think that's as good of a place to end as anybody, right?
Yep.
All right, guys. Good luck out there.
Bye, guys.
Ta-ta.
Titties.